Hello YouTube. Today I'm going to show how to put together a Star Wars Thermal Detonator using the electronics from my Etsy shop. Basically it comes pre-built. And first thing I'm going to do is plug in my hot glue gun. You need plenty of hot glue for this. But the first step of this is to prepare the plastic shell. And just make sure all of the pieces that would interfere with movement of the switch are free. You want the switch to be able to move back and forth freely, easily. So I'm just kind of scraping the inside. Make sure it's not too tight for the switch. And same thing for the LED button spot. Just make sure nothing in the way of that. That's where the red LED is going to go. The 3D printing process isn't perfect, so you got to clean it up a little bit when you're done printing. And then the edges, these are very important because the plastic shell will snap together like that, so I'm going to make sure there's no plastic blocking where it snaps together. Usually have a little trouble here, so I'm going to scrape it a little bit more with a pretty sharp knife. You definitely want to be careful here because it's very easy to cut yourself if you're not. I think the top part is okay, so let's take a look at the bottom part. Actually, it looks pretty clean already. Let's see if it snaps together okay. Yeah, it does. Feels pretty good. And then here are the electronics, but let's go ahead and clean this up. Alright, so I think we got most of the plastic cleaned up. Take a look at the switch, maybe clean up the switch a little bit. Switch is important because this is the part that slides back and forth. If there's a little bit of plastic overhanging on this, it can interfere with the movement. You want to clean this pretty good. I'm just using the sharp edge of these little blades. Alright, I think we're good enough. Alright, and then here is the stand for it once it's finished. First thing I'm going to do is put the switch in. This round part will cover the red LED once it's installed, so let's pop it in. It's not going in very well. Maybe I will make this a little bit wider. Let's try that now. Okay, it snaps in place. You may have to work it a little bit, so it should get looser over time as you exercise it back and forth. That's a bit tight right now, but it'll work. Clean up this plastic again. Alright, now let's test the electronics. So these should be good. Tested them a couple weeks ago. So I want to make sure all three yellow LEDs are lighting up, red LED is lighting up, and then the buzzer is beeping, and it's all good. So first part is we put all the components in the top shell. So the red LED just kind of slides into place. The same thing with the buzzer. There's a special spot for it. With the buzzer, you don't want to push it all the way to the side of the shell. There needs to be some air gap between the hole in the buzzer and the shell, so that the sound waves have a chance to propagate. Actually, the first thing I'm going to do is glue the switch in, because that's one of the harder things to get in there. It gets kind of busy once you put all the other components in. So the switch actually has its own spot in the shell that I made. I'm just going to put it right there. key is that when you push the switch back, we'll activate the switch, the electronic switch. So you can test it by just seeing if the plastic switch activates it, and it does. Alright, so we'll put it in the correct spot. Yeah, I think the hot glue gun's warm by now, so let's put some hot glue in it. And we will let it harden. Let's see if I can get a little bit more light. Should make it easier to see. So I put some glue in it. And it takes a good minute or so before it hardens. Once it hardens, I'll glue the rest of it and start putting the other components like the LED and the buzzer in. I'll wait for that. I'm going to get the other side of it. It's probably better to use more glue than less glue. So you don't want these parts moving around after you put it together. It's difficult to get it back open and fix things after you put it together. I'm using Gorilla Glue for this. I find this works pretty well, and this little gun is very effective. Still takes a while to heat up though. Alright, let's put the LED in. Still hardening, but it's getting close. Put the LED in. You can see the other side. Is the important part, how it looks here, because this is what you can see after you put it all together, and it's got some pretty good protrusion sticking out a good bit, so it will be very visible once we finish. And I always put a little dab of glue on it just to hold it in place, but it's already pretty snug, so glue is not completely necessary, but I like to have it very sturdy. Put a little bit more glue on the switch. It's important that the switch doesn't move. And the final component for the top is the buzzer. So let's glue that in. And you want to be careful not to get glue on the front of the buzzer. You don't want to block that hole where the sound emits from. But you do want to make sure that it's not going to come out after you close this whole thing up. like it is hardened now. Let's just test it. So, the switch is not engaged. We open it up all the way. And switch is engaged, so that is good. The question is, should I put more glue on here? It feels like it's in there pretty good, so I think we're good. And then the next step, pull the LEDs out a little bit. We gotta put the backing, or the divider plate in here. Basically cover up all the electronics and seal it up. So how we do that, we kind of rotate it a little bit to coil the wires as much as we can. We can push that in. We don't need the black and red wire to be different lengths. And then we just kind of glue the edges. Let that dry a bit, or not dry, but harden. We want to go all the way around because we want it to be strong enough that it doesn't come apart. We also don't want it to be sticking up too much, so we don't want to put a big globule on there because then it will make the bottom of the detonator hard to get in. But you can always peel it off or remove excess glue after you're done. So I've glued all the way around it now, just need it to completely harden, and we can move on to the next step. Also, you could use these holes to stick some glue in, make it a little bit stronger. So the glue will solidify on the other side of the shell. Hopefully hold it a little bit better. Right now we just need to wait for it to harden. While we're doing that, I'm gonna go get some more coffee. While my coffee is brewing, we'll get the other side now, and I'll call it good. Wait, is that the one that I did? I need to get this side. Let's let that harden and come back in a couple minutes. Alright, the glue is hardened. Before we go any further though, let's just check that it's still functional and I didn't accidentally break it or twist any wires up. And it is. You can see the red LEDs on, yellow LEDs, and you can hear it. Alright, so last step is to put the yellow LEDs in the bottom plate. And when I do that, I try to figure out which one's the middle LED so that the sequence is the way I programmed it. So I think this one is the middle LED, so that's what we're going to put as the middle LED. And it's just like the top, it just kind of slides in place. It's a pretty snug fit already. I printed it to the exact dimensions for the LED. And we push that in there a little bit so it's tight. Make sure that you can see them all clearly. And I usually put a little bit of dabs of glue just to make sure it doesn't come out after we're done. And now we let that harden for a couple minutes and then come back and put it all together. Alright, it looks like the glue is hardened now. So let's first of all, let's disconnect the button, or deactivate it at least, and put the battery on. So you want to slide the battery under the wires. There's not a whole lot of room in here. And then you put the top on. And it snaps into place. And it just snaps on, which feels pretty good. And that's your thermal detonator. That simple. And it comes with a little stand, at least the ones I sell. And that's it. Thanks for watching.